views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Good evening and welcome to Bronx Talk. If you are rubbing your eyes and blinking twice and you're going like this, yes, what you are seeing is to be believed. For the first time since March 2020, Bronx Talk is back in an actual BronxNet studio in our facilities at Lehman College. In fact, this is BronxNet's first studio show in, count 'em, 15 months. And we thought to celebrate this moment for us and for our home borough of the Bronx, we would show you what your public channels on BronxNet Television have been up to all during this time while we were providing virtual programs. I'm sure you've seen those programs, in many cases designed specifically to guide us through what was a very difficult pandemic and frankly is still going on. But what you have not seen and what we are going to unveil publicly for the first time are BronxNet's new facilities and also give you a look at the exciting future of BronxNet Public Community Network. And who better to lead us through these discussions is my colleague and friend and neighbor, actually, BronxNet's Visionary Executive Director, Michael Max Knobbe. Nice to have you with us.
Such an honor to be here with you, Gary, and our BronxNet team in the control room and in our spaces here at the renovated network ops at Lehman College for BronxNet and the people of the Bronx.
It's incredibly exciting. I'm thrilled because we have this gorgeous new studio. It's the same studio, we just made it new, and we want to talk about that. You wrote, now get this is Michael Max. He wrote on my page, on my script, Bronx Strong, when he sat down. Let's talk about the history of BronxNet Television, what it was like to be Bronx Strong for the first time on television in the Bronx.
So the people of the Bronx are not unfamiliar with crises, and we have seen our neighbors, our friends, our family get through what has been, I think, historic. And whether it be back in the 70s and 80s when the Bronx needed an outlet for media, because why? We were misrepresented so often in mainstream media and in Hollywood. So the people of the Bronx, community leaders like Fernando Ferrer got together and said, the people of the Bronx need a voice, we need to be represented. So thusly, we created BronxNet Television, public access for the people of the Bronx with our network operations here at Lehman College. This is about education and workforce development training. So many students have come through these doors over our 3 decades of public service and have gone on to be media leaders in the industry, in mainstream media.
We just saw one, we know her as Darlene Pamalis, but she was, that was what she was when she was at BronxNet. Now she's, of course, a star in Channel 4 as Darlene Rodriguez. So we've had kind of an illustrious history. This was a very interesting time at Lehman College, even though our studios were closed. Let's talk a little bit about what we were doing and what you were doing and many on the BronxNet staff and the construction staff was doing during the pandemic so that we could be here this evening.
In our borough of universities, you and I are familiar with how BronxNet transformed these spaces at Lehman College.
That's right.
Sub-basement and sub-basement spaces that were unutilized, storage, and we created multimedia studios and a platform for Bronxites. And for decades, so many have been through these doors that are members of the public that reflect the diversity of the Bronx on BronxNet and our students, the future leaders. And during the pandemic, what we did was we pivoted, so we had remote production in the cloud, distributed technologies to team members in the home so that we could be a part of positive transformation through media, through the pandemic and our collective crisis.
Even people like me, so I could do, we could continue the Bronx Talk and the Bronx Buzz from my son's bedroom, which is what we've been doing.
And parallel to that, we've been busy with design and construction and renovation and broadcast design and integration at BronxNet's network ops at Lehman College. We've transformed these spaces yet again. And it's incredible. So right now, you won't recognize, if you haven't been through our doors in a while, we've been busy at BronxNet creating a space that is light, that is open, that is reflective of the network of the people of the Bronx, BronxNet, with all new state-of-the-art technology, the first HD, end-to-end native public access facility in the nation.
Is that true?
BronxNet Television at Lehman College.
I didn't do my drum roll for that. I would love to. But what, to me, even though, look, this is the studio we're sitting in right now, and you can see some of our staff working on it. What was really exciting to me, and I've obviously been at BronxNet since the first day, the office, even the office space and the conference rooms, we've never had anything like that at this station. And during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, a miracle happened here at Lehman College.
And it is gorgeous. So in 2022, when we welcome you back to your BronxNet spaces,
Here we go.
BronxNet at Lehman College, our network ops, BronxNet's studios at the Hutch Metro Center, BronxNet at Mercy College in the East Bronx, and our new state-of-the-art studios, BronxNet Media and Technology Studios at La Centrale in the South Bronx.
That's next.
These spaces await you. In the meanwhile, you can take online education courses and produce from the comfort and safety of your home and the community with remote production in the cloud.
We'll talk about La Centrale in a moment. What will the new facility enable us to do that we haven't been able to do before? I mean, obviously the studio is lovely. They've done an incredible job setting it up. You got some new graphics and new visuals, but what people don't see, the cameras are new. Talk to me about the capacity and what does it allow us to do?
Through BronxNet's close to 3 decades of public service, we've had an educational mission with experiential learning for middle school, high school, and college students. This is career building experience. And now, with BronxNet's Media and Technology Studios at La Centrale, this is about future careers, this is about the future generations and emerging media. What we are seeing at BronxNet at La Centrale is the first Ultra HD 4K native end-to-end production facility for public access in the nation.
Let me just introduce that properly then. So La Centrale is a new, wonderful housing development that is already filling up, and it's coming to the South Bronx. There's a YMCA going to be in there, and also a new BronxNet studio, a new BronxNet facility. We have our studios here at Lehman College. There's studios, of course, at Mercy College in the East Bronx. Now we're going to be in the South Bronx. Now we can show some pictures of it being constructed. What's going to be there, and what will the opportunity be for people in the South Bronx?
Like with these under and unutilized spaces at Lehman College, what was once a vacant lot that Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz talks about, where he was a young person playing on the rubble in this lot, now it's BronxNet at La Centrale is a beautiful space with affordable housing, and BronxNet's Media and Technology Studios at La Centrale in the hub is going to have emerging media and opportunities for experiential learning around extended reality and extended reality production, XR production. And
what does XR production mean?
So it's really...
Sorry, I'm not a tech guy. I'm an on-camera guy.
So here's what will be the Media Immersion Studio. So XR captures mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, and whether it be gaming, whether it be enterprise level opportunities, whether it be arts and entertainment or health, augmented reality, extended reality is really a growth area in a major and a significant way. So BronxNet's providing this platform for Bronxites to learn, but also to produce an emerging media.
So people of the South Bronx in particular will be able to come in and produce programs like they never have before. Because where they've been able to do it on BronxNet, but come up here to the North Bronx, it'll be localized.
Through our collective crises, it really became apparent that our great tech inequities in the Bronx and in the South Bronx, and the economic disparities, the tech inequities, we need to address that. And BronxNet and our Media and Technology Studios at La Centrale will be a part of helping to foster this opportunity for the students of the Bronx and the public to engage in technology that is the now and the future in terms of job growth areas and more.
So we can see somebody say, well, okay, so my not-for-profit group is advocating for the environment, let's just say down in the South Bronx, and we've never had an opportunity to create a regular program. They'll be able to come in, work with BronxNet people, get trained, and figure out how to, and get a chance to do that, and then the whole world will be able to see those programs.
Correct. It's also...
It's pretty exciting. I gotta tell you, I love this idea.
I mean, there's
It's
enterprise level opportunities across the board, and you know, there are partners that we're working with as well as in the business sector. So I think whether you talk about gaming, whether you talk about coding, or you talk about production and the future of production, this space is going to be equipped with a Windows on the South Bronx studio, with a Vista on the South Bronx, a media immersion studio with XR production stages, innovation labs, learning labs, and more.
That is definitely pretty exciting. One of the things that we have talked about privately and publicly, of course, is that what have we learned through the pandemic? What have we done better through the pandemic? I know you like to say that BronxNet pivoted once the pandemic hit from a programming standpoint to create programs that were desperately needed at the time, which means expanded health programs, expanded education programs. Talk a little bit about what we did again during all this time before we came back to the studio to serve the Bronx public during this time of big crisis.
So through these crises, we remember those we've lost. And you know,
Sure.
we have so many team members and you know, and neighbors.
Relatives, and it's terrible.
And we also salute our frontline workers and our heroes. And I also need to salute our BronxNet team. We have a passionate team in a very creative borough. And we came together and we developed workflows as New York City was shutting down so that we could have our BronxNet team members produce and collaborate from the comfort and safety of home. So we distributed technology to people's homes. You hosted from the comfort and safety of a home TV studio. We had artists working from home art studios with animation and graphics production. We had editors editing from home. And we had the public participating from home to produce content that reflects the diversity of the Bronx, multilingual, multicultural programs on BronxNet. When there was great racism and injustice in our nation and people were outraged, BronxNet began providing an outlet on the front lines with our journalists telling the stories of the community, but we also produced the Bronx Social Justice Forums on BronxNet. And we do that program every week, as well as health programs produced by BronxNet professionals with health institutions like Montefiore Health Systems and Essen Health, as well as with Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield, the business community with the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Bronx Chamber of Commerce was helping with services for small business. Small business was impacted, and BronxNet is about transformative media for our public, for opportunities, for education, for health, for social justice, for more, for what you want to talk about as a Bronxite. You know, we are your network, your voice, your views, your vision matters.
You touched on it just now, and I know that, obviously I know him very well for a very long time. The partnerships that you and we have created are long-lasting past the pandemic. You named a couple of health organizations, but it's something you've prided yourself in is partnerships. Talk a little bit about why you do it and what is the value of those partnerships going forward.
The Bronx is also a borough of nonprofits. So with Ostos Community College and the Center of Bronx Nonprofits, we've continued to produce Mission BX, which connects constituents to valuable public services and shares best practices for nonprofits. And then with health programming and the need for health information, Montefiore Health Systems stepped up. We've leveraged strategic partnership and strengthened these partnerships to produce vital health programming in the community. So we're on the ground with health professionals and the community talking about health, like with Dr. Denise Nunez and Leaders of the Future on BronxNet, where she's engaging in discussion about health with young people in the Bronx, because young people can be role models for their parents. And this health programming is innovative with Essen Health and Essential Health and Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield and more, as well as our educational partnerships.
And here's the trivia question I was going to ask you, which we're not going to have time to do, because you mentioned the borough of universities. Who knows how many universities there are in the Bronx? I think they're 14. I don't have enough fingers. So that's number one. And number two, let's talk about how many not-for-profits. You mentioned the number of I think the number that I had heard was between 1,000 and 1,200 not-for-profits in the Bronx. That shows that people of the Bronx want to do stuff rather than have it done for them. It's incredibly exciting. One of the other things that I know from my programs when we talk about the most important topics are health and education. You've talked about the health programs. I thought this notion during the pandemic of edulution was a revolution in education and educational television. Talk about what you and our crew and people at BronxNet created to serve the educational needs of our children during the pandemic.
As schools shut down because of the pandemic and children were at home, BronxNet, through a partnership with Bronx educators, broadcast every day, twice a day, the Bronx Edulution on BronxNet, educational lessons by Bronx teachers for Bronx families and children. And this started in February of 2020 with planning with educators and administrators like Misha Ross Porter, Bronx Executive Superintendent at the time.
Who's now the Chancellor.
Principal Luis Torres, and great educators, so that we provided media education for Bronx teachers, and then the teachers would produce lessons from home around science, math, literacy, arts, culture, and more.
Food, we're seeing food.
Healthy eating. And yes, BronxNet would get these great lessons and broadcast 2 hours every day, twice a day, the Bronx Edulution, so that children at home, where there's not necessarily enough devices in the home, not enough bandwidth in the home, could get educational content every day, twice a day. And we continue to broadcast the Edulution on BronxNet.
This underscores a couple of things. Number one, it underscores BronxNet's understanding of the needs of the public. And number two, after the pandemic, we've learned a lot. And a lot of these things are going to survive into the future.
Yeah, we've got these partnerships that were strengthened, but brand new partnerships as a result of the pandemic. So we've always spotlighted Bronx Arts Factory and Casita Maria, but you would notice some great arts programming on BronxNet through our collective crises, because artists and arts organizations and theaters were disconnected from audiences because theaters were shut down. And BronxNet partnered with great arts institutions and presenters and artists to broadcast educational content that is around the arts, like Bronx Arts Factory with interactive arts programming, so you could create art from home, or soul-nourishing content with Casita Maria and the Bronx Opera Company and the Bronx Arts Ensemble and the Bronx Children's Museum, and so many great artists in our creative borough
Bronx
that
Music
are
Heritage
sharing
Center.
Transformative media on BronxNet.
You had said that earlier today, and I love that phrase, transformative media. I guess I'm part of that. We're all part of that. It is pretty exciting to me. Let's also talk about the public access programs and the fact that people get to produce their own programs. You talked about even during the pandemic, we provided technology and cameras and all that. There's a whole series now. BronxNet was founded with 4 channels. One was a so-called professional channel, and then the other with 3 channels. I've lost my fingers there. 3 channels of public access programs. These are incredibly valuable, so people get to speak for themselves.
At one point, the Bronx had no channels. BronxNet started with 1 channel, developed and grew that to 4 channels.
4 channels.
Now we are 6 high-definition channels that are broadcast multi-platform. BronxNet on Altice's Optimum, as well as Verizon Fios, as well as in a multi-platform world with BronxNet. You can get BronxNet anywhere in the world you are. As long as you have an internet connection, BronxNet.tv, BronxNet.org, and we are broadcasting in high definition, multi-platform. Your multi-site, multi-channel network is available to you anywhere you go from the Bronx to the world.
And there are also, one of the things which, I'm going to tell you the truth, I use a lot of times as I watch on Facebook Live, that I'll get a notice in my Facebook thing that says, BronxNet presents something. You can see some of our news stories. We can talk about BronxNet's natural expansion into social media.
Yeah, we have a great team at BronxNet, from production to studio producers and facilitators, to the social media and web team, to our engineers and our programming teams and our outreach and community affairs teams and development, and our hosts and professionals and journalists that have worked together collaboratively through this crisis. But it's from the comfort and safety of home at times, but it's also on the front lines. People have stepped up, and we are there. We're about community engagement, and we are here for you. It's about functionality, and we're enhancing our services and our technologies to increase that engagement and functionality for you to participate.
I'm proud of the fact that this program, Bronx Talk, was the borough's first talk show way back when. But it survives today, plus many of what you like to call the signature programs are also surviving. Let's talk about those programs and what they are now part of the infrastructure, if you will, the transformative media, if you will, of the borough of the Bronx, and what the look is toward the future.
BronxNet has provided training for thousands of students. Many now are in major newsrooms and producers and editors and engineers and production professionals and journalists. And we've also trained thousands of members of the public. And you see on BronxNet voices that reflect the diversity of the Bronx, multilingual programming, multicultural programming on BronxNet. In addition to that, we have professionals that work together and that produce content around community engagement and voter literacy. So as there were all new candidates for elected office that were running, how do you introduce the ideas and the issues to the public when there's a pandemic? Well, BronxNet produced virtual debates and in-person debates and candidate forums and more, so that people could understand where the candidates stood on the issues and also share what's important to our lives here in our city, so that we can thrive together and build together and hear where the candidates stand on that.
I was smiling because, of course, who should know that better than me, because I've moderated almost all of those events. And you know what I like to think about, Michael, is that before we existed, before BronxNet existed, and our first debate was, way back in, October, I think, or no, I guess it would be October 1994, and we've done more than 80 debates. How did people find out who the candidates are before that? And look at the service, because I get people saying, oh, my friend is going to be running for city council. Are you going to do a debate? And they wait for it. They look for it. And they say, and then we put it in social media. We put it all over the place. That's how people get informed. That's one of the major commitments that BronxNet has done.
We've seen so much growth and engagement because we were the go-to source for this information, vital information around health, education, and voter literacy. Who are the candidates? Well, you can find out on BronxNet and BronxNet.tv. Whether you have cable, Optimum Fios, whether you have an internet connection, you can watch on BronxNet and learn about our next borough president, Vanessa Gibson, and learn about our new city council members and our comptroller and mayor, all who appeared on BronxNet through the pandemic.
And then, as you know, for this program, for Bronx Talk, we bring them in for complete analysis. Let's talk about the future. Do you have, are there big new ideas, or are we basically going to just continue doing what we do and improve it as we go? What do you got in your mind? What's in Michael Max Knobbe's mind?
What's in our minds? Because the Bronx is such a creative borough, and it's a tremendous what the people of the Bronx through creative capital have done and transforming the world and influencing the world. So, this is your open work. People of the Bronx need to know, from the Bronx to the world, BronxNet is your open work. And we at BronxNet are building the platforms. We've done innovative broadcast design and technological integration at BronxNet's network ops at Lehman College. And what we're doing in the South Bronx is amazing and transformative. And you can be a part of that transformation. Mm-hmm. And
how people send an email, they look up, you say they can be part of it?
My email is max. My email is max@bronxnet.org. Feel free to reach out. And
that's a good way.
And
BronxNet. You can go to Gary at BronxNet.org. You want to talk to me? That's fine.
And then BronxNet.tv on the web.
Is that the way to do it?
BronxNet.org. You can enroll for an internship at BronxNet if you're a student in the Bronx. You can take public access workshop, educational workshop.
Yeah,
you
you
can
know,
learn filmmaking, documentary media making, as well as acting, production, all
I'm
online.
waiting for you to say TV performance, which is what Gary teaches.
Gary Axelbank, who is a on-air personality extraordinaire, is a BronxNet educator as well as many
we
other
do that,
educators.
and we teach production classes. Before we wrap up, I want to just ask you kind of a personal thing. When you wake up in the morning, I know you're a fitness guy and you like to run. What do you think about, what motivates you? What drives you every morning? What do you think about when you get out there and you say, okay, this is going to be another Wednesday as the executive director of BronxNet Television? What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Gary, I'm born and raised in the Bronx. My heart and my home is in the Bronx. And it's the people of the Bronx that inspire me. And this borough of Parks is inspiring. You know, you can explore a whole world in your neighborhood. And well, in our borough of Parks, I run every morning in Van Cortlandt Park or in Pelham Bay Park on a weekend. And there's an urban wilderness and a beauty to the Bronx, from the people to just the fauna and
but that's
and the
a
flora.
good clue into what the executive director of BronxNet thinks about is the natural urban environment in the Bronx. It's a wonderful thing. It's ironic that they talk about all the devastation in the Bronx with the borough of University and the borough of Parks. How did that happen? You think we're nothing? Anyway, the last thing I want to ask you before you go, you got to be real quick. This X, I had always thought you invented it. You say you didn't invent it, but you popularized it.
So yes, credit to all the crews of the Bronx and the South Bronx and hip hop culture. Okay, Wakanda forever, but you know what? The more we share, the more we have in the Bronx. Bronx Strong was developed in the Bronx, and we share it with the world. And together we are Bronx Strong para siempre.
And he's got the X right in his lapel. Nobody better equipped than you are to keep talking about the borough of the Bronx. Michael Max, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary.
It's just fantastic. And I now have a permanent reminder that says Bronx Strong right on my script. But that's what we're going to be. BronxNet.tv, we're going to be here. And guess what? We will be back next week. We won't be totally in the studio yet. There are a lot of requirements and other restrictions, but we wanted to give people a chance to see what the new cameras, the new studio, and everything
We'll be open
like.
to you in 2022 with safety culture prioritized, and we are your open work because your voice, your views matter. BronxNet, Bronx Strong.
Great. Michael Max, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary.
Folks, I'll be back. We have the Bronx Buzz for me and also Bronx Talk. And we'll see you next week.
And a salute to our teams. Great work.
As I indicated to them beforehand, we are nothing without them up in our brand new facilities and brand new control room.
Together we are Bronx Stronger.
That's it. Good night. We'll see you all. Thank you.